It makes me kind of nervous to just announce this, to put this out in the world, but I am saying here and now that this video will not end until I have completed the first draft of my fantasy book. Oh, okay, yeah, now it's real. Now we've committed. Now I cannot stop until I am done. So, if you are new here, my name is Josie. Welcome or welcome back if you've been around before. And yeah, this is going to be an exciting video because this has been a long time coming. We've been working on this first draft for 7, 8 months at this point, something like that. And only 7 chapters stand between me and completing this book. I really wanted to try and get through a full chapter today. I thought if I was writing these chapters quicker, faster, more underwritten, I could get through one no problem. But I have now written 3,000 words. I think I still have like another 1,000 words before this chapter's done, at least 500, if not 1,000. So not only is the chapter not that short, but I don't know, I still have a lot of time. It's only 5:15, so I'm gonna start making dinner. So I could write again this evening. I did start by writing it a lot more like telling rather than showing, kind of like very densely being like, this, he went over here, he did this, he went over there, he did this, he went over here. But it just wasn't working, and so I went back through it and fleshed it out, and by fleshing it out and adding like little kind of like mini scenes that we hop in and out of, that's what added a lot to the word count, which is okay. I'm happy with it. I like the way it is. It's just not what I was expecting. Unfortunately, I didn't get any more writing done last night. I just got distracted by other things. I decided that 3,000 words is a lot of words to have written. So it's better to just wait another day, feel refreshed today, and just keep going. But also, today I woke up and it was just like almost immediately like not a good day. Like I feel like there were so many things going on. I was feeling pretty stressed almost immediately just from like emails and stuff that I had to address. And it is now close to 3 p.m. And I feel like this is the first time I'm like really breathing. I just got back from the gym. I thought the gym would be a good way to reset, but I've had this lingering headache. Okay. Oh gosh. I definitely thought the gym would be a good reset. Oh, bonsai. Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna hang over here. I definitely thought the gym would be a good reset, but I've just felt more like frazzled and all over the place, which is why now we're going to first clean up my desk. Hopefully that'll help me mentally to like feel some sort of like calm, peace, and then I'm gonna write for 2 hours is the plan before dinner. And in those 2 hours, finish the chapter I'm working on, maybe get a little bit of a rough idea for the next one. That's the plan. I'm back this evening for a second writing session because my afternoon one ended prematurely. So I only did about 250 words of writing before I got pulled away, which is totally fine because at this point in my life, my writing is obviously important, but I prioritize other things more because this is like my hobby, what I do for fun. I'm not getting paid. So I take it as it comes. And now I have some time, hopefully 2 hours, to do everything I wanted to do beforehand, which is finish this chapter and get started a little bit on the next one. So take two. The rain has finally stopped, so I got to go on a beautiful sunny walk today by the ocean, and now I am back and ready to do my first writing session for today. And I figured I owed you an update because it's been 2 days since the last clip. And it's funny because when I was about to start that writing the last time we spoke, I was starting to doubt whether I had prematurely decided to do this like big sprint to the end because it just felt like it was so far away. I was feeling overwhelmed by all of the things I needed to get done this week, and I wished I'd like maybe push it off a couple more days. But then when I actually started writing that night, it flowed so incredibly well. Like, I was just so pulled into the story. Like, that's the type of writing that makes you want to just keep going. Like, coming up with all these cool extra ways to include other details that were just like coming to me as I was writing them. They weren't pre planned. And it just feels so good, especially writing the climax of a story, because you've spent so long setting up so many things. So when you finally get to this point, you know you've done a good job when you're basically just fulfilling all of the consequences, fulfilling all the things you've set up the entire time. So it's actually a lot less work to do the climax resolution of a story, just because it's like, yeah, this is what you've been building up to the whole time. Now you finally get the payoff for everything that you've been doing over so many words that came before it. But because I started writing already pretty late at night, it meant that my writing session couldn't be that long because I was getting tired. When I felt myself starting to like drift and lose focus a little bit, I decided, because I had such a clear idea of how to finish that chapter, because not only did I finish the chapter I was working on that night, but I started the next one. I had such a clear idea on how to finish it that I quickly wrote out, as like condensed as possible, what point by point needed to happen. Like, he goes talks to this person, there are conversations about this, then he goes here, blah 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 blah, like that kind of a thing. Then as I finished writing that, I just had a clear vision for the next chapter. So I couldn't stop there while everything was flowing. So I wrote another condensed outline, basically point by point, of every beat that happened in the following chapters, basically giving myself a complete roadmap on how to complete the next 1.5 chapters. But because my mind had been like working so hard, it took a while for me to like calm down and actually be able to get to sleep. So while I was laying in bed trying to get to sleep, I had another idea for another chapter, and it was actually the final chapter of the book. I knew exactly what I wanted to show to demonstrate the journey that he came on, to feel the most resolution, to feel wrapped up with his story. But then I started thinking, well, what happens next? Because he gets another arc in the potential second book. So I started thinking, where would I even start that book off for him? And I came up with exactly what I wanted to have happen in the first chapter of a book two. So I didn't write those 2 new chapters down. I ended up just waiting until the following morning to write it all down, because I knew if I got up and went to my computer and started writing, it would be even harder to go to sleep. But yesterday, I also had a ton of stuff to do. But because I was feeling so good about the writing and I really wanted to capitalize on that feeling I had, I gave myself an hour of writing. So I gave myself an hour to not only write down the thoughts I had the previous night, but to finish that next chapter. So what this means is we're 2 chapters down. We have 5 left to go in this book, and I have a super clear idea on the fifth to last chapter and the final chapter. And then the 3 in the middle are a little bit wishy-washy right now, but I'm sure I'll figure it out as well. Any doubts I had that this wouldn't just be a full sprint towards the end are now gone. I have 3 chapters left before my first draft is complete. I just finished the 4th to last one, and we are about to get into one of the biggest chapters, I think, because this next one is the big like conversation, the big like gut-wrenching learning of so much information that you didn't really know up until this point and you've been waiting to hear about. And then after that, the last 2 chapters are actually going to be pretty short, because I don't know if I've explained it in this video, but I have 3 point of view characters and I've been writing each one in order. Even once I finish doing these last 3 chapters, I'm not fully done, because I'll have to interweave all of the chapters I've written for these 3 storylines throughout the book. And for the most part, like, everyone has their own respective chapters, but 2 of the characters and the one I'm currently working on, they share a chapter. So we go back and forth between the 2 of them. So I've already written the other character's side of things. So I just have to write this character side of things. So that's going to be like half a chapter basically worth of writing. And then the final kind of resolution chapter is like a pretty short scene. I imagine it's going to be somewhere between 500 and 1,000 words. And I'm debating whether I'm going to combine all 3 into one chapter and each kind of have like a line break between all of them, or just have one really short chapter for each of them to finish off the story. So, really, this next one is the big chapter where it's like normal length, lots of stuff goes down. And then for the second to last one, I'll probably have to pull up the other characters chapter that I've written in, and then in all the line breaks, add in this character's point of view, which means I think we only have 4,000 words left to write, maybe 5,000. We have just passed 150,000 words, so we are officially at 155,581 words. So I don't know that this story will hit 160, at least in this draft. So we are so close. Like, I could push through and finish this today or tomorrow. I honestly don't know if I want to finish it today because I feel like it'll make me underwrite even more and have it more bare bones. And I don't want to rush the ending, even though it's like super exciting. And if I was reading, I'd just be like flipping through the pages at this point. I need to like actually make sure that I'm including all the things I want to include. Goal for today is to try and write this third chapter. Who knows if I'll even finish it? And then maybe not even let myself work on the last two until tomorrow, just to make sure I'm not putting any pressure on myself. I am sitting down now to write the final chapter of this first draft. It feels insane saying that. And also, despite my best efforts, I feel like I have rushed the last two chapters a little bit. I wrote most of the third one last night, but then I just didn't quite get there and I was feeling off about it. So this morning I went back to the beginning and tried to like edit right through it and then finish it. And I did get to the end of it, but it just like, it still doesn't feel quite right. Like the heart is there, but I don't know, it's a little bit off. And then the second to last chapter, I had to go in and kind of write between the chapter I'd written for the other point of view character. That was a little messy, but like it's there. A form of it is there, which is what I need at this stage. We are going to try and finish off strong with this last scene. I feel pretty good about it, and I think that I can make it the quality that I want instead of it being dragged down by like the last two chapters that I haven't been as proud of. And it shouldn't be too long. I think it's going to be somewhere between 500 and 1,000 words. So I don't imagine this writing session will be more than like half an hour, maybe an hour max. So got my cup of tea, and there's nothing left to do but finish off this story. 158,911 words. That's it. That's the whole story. Of course, there's a lot of editing to do, but the entire story is here in this document. I'm feeling so many emotions right now, but we're not done quite yet. All the words are written, but I still have to figure out how to combine everything. So I think I'm going to start it actually right now while I'm feeling the motivation. I don't know if it's going to take me longer than just like literally just piecing it all together. I'll show you what I'm working with so you can get a bit of an idea of what's going on. I'm trying to hide things so you don't get spoiled, but I'm currently working in a Scrivener document where you can have all these like separate tabs. So all of this is in my book one document. So I've got a prologue, and then right away I've got my act one, which is I've just called these like first 7 chapters, which is alternating character 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then back to 1. And then I've got this like interlude chapter. And then separate from that, I have under here um, all of the chapters for this character, Quali, all of the chapters for Savrina, and all the chapters for Amal. And they're like about the same. So each of these is just like a list of all the chapters named after the plot point that they represent. So I have a bunch of them for Quali, I have a bunch of them for Savrina, and then Sabrina's actually might be a little bit longer than everyone else. And then I've also got a bunch of them now for Amal. So I've got to somehow combine all these 3. So this makes sense because I've got my prologue, the first 7 chapters, then this interlude chapter, and then I just have to combine these 3 into some semi-coherent order. So I'm thinking of just doing like character 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 over and over again. But these 2 characters have a combined climax, whereas Quali has a separate climax. So I'm debating having these 2 have their climax and then afterwards have Quali and then finishing off with the final chapter for everyone. So I'm gonna see how that looks first. Things can get really chaotic really quickly, so we'll see what happens. I've officially completed the first draft of a fantasy book that I have been dreaming of for 8 years. It has been a long time coming, And I don't think I could have written it any sooner and have it turn out as good as I feel like it is. Because in those last 8 years, I've written so many other stories. I've learned so much about plotting, so much about character, so much about revision. I would have gotten so overwhelmed. Like, even today, as I was interweaving all the different chapters, I was starting to feel so many doubts about my methods, like this idea that I would write them all by themselves and then combine them. I was like, what if I have to remove a chapter at some point? Like, that'll just screw everything up. What do I do in that case? What about, like, how do I know that like 3 boring chapters aren't happening back to back? How do I know these chapters are flowing together? And so much of this is going to be in revision. Like, I don't want to focus on that right now because I think all of that can be fixed. And as for the issue about whether I have to scrap any chapters, I don't think I do, because I have plotted these stories pretty closely where each chapter really does encapsulate a critical plot point. But then also, like, this is some of the densest writing I've ever done, in the sense that each chapter accomplishes so much. Like, we have so many different plot lines being pushed forward, information being introduced, hopefully not in an info dumpy way, but I just can't see any chapter getting scrapped completely. I can see it being rewritten, I can see things being added or removed, but I feel pretty confident about the like major structure of my story, and that would not have been the case had I tried to tackle it 8 years ago. There are still things I'm concerned about, not only all the things I just brought up about whether or not these chapters are going to flow together, but another thing I've been thinking about is the fact that the timeline is not the same in each character arc. Like, for example, in one chapter, maybe a couple hours pass. In another chapter, a week passes. So each character is not progressing at the same rate. I mean, at the end of the day, the 2 characters that share the chapter, theoretically, their timelines should meet up and match up for that. But when I try to remember what published multi POV fantasy books that I've read do, like, I can't think of it. So I think I'll have to revisit some of my favorites just to see what they do now that I've taken my first attempt, so that way I can compare a little bit. But for a first draft, this is probably the most confident I've ever felt about it, which is why I feel good about actually having someone read this first draft. In the past, I'd need to do at least 1 round of revisions before I'd let anyone look at it, just because the first one would be such a mess. But now I actually feel like a decent amount of these chapters are like a draft 1.5 or even a draft 2 quality. And so, because I'm so excited, I actually went ahead and printed out the manuscript. This is 2/3 of it. I ran out of printer paper, so I'm gonna have to go to the store and get more before I can finish this. But my fiance is potentially gonna start reading this tonight, putting in comments in like the margins and stuff. So then when I go back to read this in like a month or two, because I do want to give myself time away from the manuscript before I give it a reread, I'll be able to have his notes as I'm reading it to get a full picture of what it is I have here. It's almost like I am reading someone else's book, just because I have no idea how this is going to go. Also, the first chapters it's been so long since I've written them, and even like the other character point of views feel like they were written such a long time ago. I mean, to be honest, when I look at this, it doesn't feel like my story. Like, I was there obviously the whole time. I remember writing every single scene, but it's almost like the accumulation of all of this feels like it was done by someone else, because I've had it in my head for so long that I wanted to write this. So to actually see it, and it's been 7 months of effort. So it's not like it just appeared. But in retrospect now, it kind of does feel like it just appeared. Like, it's crazy to hold something in your head for close to a decade, and then in less than a year, it just like exists. It's just a thing now that is in the world that someone can read and experience and finally see my vision. So I've definitely spoiled things for my fiance, told him bits and pieces, even full character arcs, but I feel like it's hard to fully convey what you mean until you can be like, here's 158,000 words that shows exactly what I mean. For now, I'm just going to enjoy the fact that it's done, get excited about seeing my fiance's reaction and being able to talk to him about the details and the specifics of this story, and then also look forward to reading this myself one day. Thanks for making it to the end of this video, and thank you even more if you've been around since the beginning of this drafting process and you've been cheering me on. I really appreciate it. And until it's time to read this, I'm going to have to find another project to work on.